You got to experience what it was like to be black and play football in college. Probably. Hey everyone, this is Old MacDonald Kirby. Welcome to the Real Gamerscore podcast. This week I'm joined by EIEI Matt.
Howdy.
And Warren.
Yeah!
Here at the Real Gamerscore podcast, we like to discuss all things Xbox, achievements, and talk until the cows come home. This week we talk about good-looking things running better, Lootbox Lockdown, and Steam, but not that one. First, here's the song of the week.
My poor Xbox won't turn on now. Red ring glowing is the power brick bad. All my save games hope that they're okay. Maybe try the oven, better not be dead. Red ring box, it's been fun. Playing games, popping chiefs, back to Redmond. You poor console, see you soon, Red Ring Box.
All right, that was a very good song there from Warren, and who definitely didn't pre-record that because we totally knew he was going to be on the show tonight, and therefore we got him to do it live because why would we ever do it not live? That'd be crazy. Speaking of which, Warren, how you doing?
Doing pretty good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing well. Glad to have you back on in the absence of Alex. We got, again, same with when Tarragon was on, we got someone who basically sounds the same as Alex to replace him, so we're all good. No one will notice. And as always, Matt is here. How you doing?
It continues.
Is it weird to face the person whose job you took over?
Yeah, it wouldn't be the first time. Usually they don't get back up.
You kicked him out, you left him crying, and now he's back because Alex has ditched us. But it's all right. We'll pretend that. We'll pretend it's all. We'll pretend you aren't secretly feuding in the staff chat and yelling at each other.
Yes, Warren and I well known for never speaking to each other and having this ongoing.
Oh yes, yeah. We've never spent time in party with each other. Never.
God, no. Especially not in some kind of endless opposite of spring, opposite of summer.
I knew what you were going to go for, and it's like, is he gonna be a good one? And no, it really wasn't.
No.
You're definitely going to cut this one.
It's going to be a not here one.
Yep.
Anyway, song. You've heard the song. Last week's song was definitely sung. And it was titled...
I was Taking Care of Business by Buckman Turner Overdrive.
Yes, it was. I was sending eye signals to Matt because I was like, I forgot.
I wrote it
do
down.
This for me.
But that's fine, yes. Yeah, I mean, it was quote-unquote sung. To be fair, it was not my best work, I have to admit. But hopefully people got it.
Yeah, that's all right. So you need to send the answer for this week's song to the Real Gamerscore account on True Achievements. That's Real Gamerscore with a 5 in the name instead of an S. And in fact, we could probably... I think I said it a couple weeks ago. We can probably change it now that there's the multi-tags and presumably there's no other Real Gamerscore on True Achievements, so we won't have a number shown. It'll just be Real Gamerscore, but I'll look into that when I'm done with the outtakes, so never. Subtle little dig at myself. If you want to talk to us on the spot and have a not-so-subtle dig at me, you can join the Discord. That's discord.io/realgamerscore, and that'll send you straight to our Discord server, where you just have to read the rules on not being a bad person, and then you go to the bot channel, you type !verify, no spaces. Some people didn't quite figure that out.
And
I usually...
I was going to say, and then the bot doesn't work, and then you have to go in and fix it manually, right? Like this weekend.
And I totally noticed because I go, I noticed 3 days later and go, oh, bot didn't work for that guy. Has he left yet? Nope. Okay, cool. I'm just going to give him membership and I'm going to test. Yep, worked now. Don't know what's wrong with you, buddy. I'm sorry. Yeah, whoops. But no, it's fun. You can yell at us. It's been a bit more lively, a bit more Blake lively.
Oof.
Yeah. Look, I've watched Accepted recently with Blake Lively and Justin Long. It's a really one of those terrible B movies, but I enjoy it because it's dumb. I
just can't stop. Every time someone says Justin Long, I just think of that Walrus movie, that Tusk movie.
I am the walrus.
Yeah.
Have you
I
seen
think
Tusk?
both of us have.
Okay.
No. What are you on?
Okay.
What?
So, Tusk. Let me see. Let's see if I can find it. Tusk was it's a comedy horror film directed by Kevin Smith based on some ridiculous story that he told on his podcast. That they were like, that's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. We need to make a movie out of it, and they made a movie out of it. It's absolutely awful.
Yeah, but it's Kevin Smith, so I'll watch it now just because.
Yeah, you definitely should watch it.
But no, it's essentially Justin Long makes his own university because he didn't get accepted anywhere.
I have seen that movie, actually.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's one of those movies you have seen, you're like, oh, I didn't realize it had a title.
Yeah.
Like you're just like, oh, yeah, no, that movie with
Lewis Black's in it.
Super bad. I can't remember.
Lewis Black's in there as the lawyer. Mini Seth
What's his name? What's his name? I don't know. I'm just going to Google Mini Seth Rogen.
Mini Seth Rogen.
No, it's just brought me Seth Rogen. Okay, that hasn't worked at all. But anyway, look, the conversations pretty much go like this in the Discord. It's really good. If you would like to support us monetarily, you can do so at Patreon. It's patreon.com/realgamerscore. We have a couple tiers that you can sign up for, some real basic ones and some baller ones. You can just be splashing cash at us, and there's Patreon draws, and we have once upon a time we had outtakes that came out every couple of months. That's probably happening still. Look, the thing is, if I meet your expectations, that's the level of expectations we have every month. If I just continue to disappoint you, then it's more amazing when the thing that should be happening normally happens. Just like video games. We don't have microtransactions. The thing that should be happening is being announced, therefore we're happy because it's not the normal thing.
Wait,
it's exactly the same as that.
Are you saying this podcast has surprise mechanics?
The surprise is there's a new episode every week for some reason.
Yeah, usually. Most weeks. Yeah, no, but that's how it works. That's how same thing. Selfies with my girlfriend. I send terrible selfies because then the level of expectation of my selfies are low, and therefore or non-existent. If the expectations are non-existent, then anything is better than nothing. It's great. So all my selfies are taken from low angle with my neck all hunched up like this. Yeah. Every time. It's perfect. It works. It's brilliant. Moving on really quickly because it's been like 20 minutes and we haven't even got past the first 2 cards. So we also run the random to-do list, which is a competition where you get 25 achievements from your pool of locked achievements on trueachievements.com. You can see them. There are varying difficulties, and you're just basically tasked with unlocking as many as you can in the month. Lots of people use it as a backlog suggestion tool, so some people are using it competitively and sort of try to unlock all 25. Others just go, yeah, I haven't played this game in a while. I'll play through it, get the achievement they need, and sort of keep going because they're enjoying it. We run a competition where you need to unlock a single achievement in that list. Any of the 25 achievements, you can do the easiest, hardest, doesn't matter. At least one achievement, and answer a trivia question, which was for this month of September, any game with the word blast in it, other than our prize, which is Superstar Blast. So any other title, you can do whatever research you want. You can look up on True Achievements. That's fine. Just answer that. Send that answer to the random to-do list account on trueachievements.com. That's random to-do list, no spaces, no hyphens, none of that nonsense. If you'd like to be entered into the random to-do list to get a list yourself, as Hawkeye Barry 20 did earlier today, just send a message to me on Discord or on True Achievements. I'm ChinDocta. I'll repeat myself again at the end of the show. And that gets drawn out usually the first or second show of the month, depending on what date it falls. So, no news is usually good news, except when you're a podcast talking about gaming news. So I had to scrounge up some stuff today, because we didn't have any news earlier. Because it's usually Alex, because we're lazy as all hell. We do all the other stuff. Alex gets the news, and that's why it's usually crap topics.
I mean, hey, look, I looked for the news. I just figured I didn't want to be like a real news organization, just make something up. So,
yeah, there doesn't seem to be a huge amount outside of just this game's coming out, yay! I mean, there's an article I saw that Children of Mortar is doing really well. It's made its money back in the first week. I'm like, okay, that's cool. It's not on Xbox yet, so I don't really care.
I saw an article that there's going to be a new Ghostbusters movie. Not sure how that's video games, but hey.
Because we're getting a remake of
sure.
the Ghostbusters game.
Perfect. Yep, sure.
With
Let's
the
go with
broken multiplayer for some people. Yeah.
Hopefully they fix that.
But I don't think they ever will.
Well, I mean, like in the re-release of it, hopefully it works.
Yeah. No, just have it exactly the same and just screw over the same people.
Actually, just make it exactly the same game. Just release it as basically like a backwards compatible version that you have to pay $60 for, like the Capcom model, basically.
Or if they realize how it's broken this time, they can be like, you know what? You need to play the multiplayer first. The campaign's locked out until you complete the multiplayer, and then it works fine. There you go.
Of course.
Oh man, imagine all the all the non-achievement hunters that are like, but what? Why do I need to, what? They're like, just get all the achievements. It's like, what are these achievement things? What? Why are you doing this to me, game? Oh, that would not go well for them. Onto the news we actually have written down. There's a lot of stuff about Borderlands 3, which dropped Friday last week?
Yep.
Yeah, Friday last week. So even before it had released, obviously, Gearbox... Is it Gearbox?
Yep.
That does it? Yeah, Gearbox send out their review codes, or 2K Games, because they're the publisher. Whoever sends out the review codes to reviewers, so that obviously you get the preview beforehand, you can get those reviews out and ready for launch day, or just before, so that people sort of get that hype going into it a little bit more. They really narrowed down what outlets they were sending their codes to. They claimed security risks or breaches or something along those terms as to why they didn't send it out to a broader audience. I guess they were afraid of leaks.
Yeah, the leak saying the game was bad.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, the fact that they had a data breach of Randy Pitchford leaving a USB drive at a medieval times with sensitive work documents along with some other materials on it, maybe they're right to increase the security maybe a little bit. Yeah, or like at that point you go, well, there's literally nothing worse that could happen, so it's fine. I'm pretty sure Gearbox has said it like 3 or 4 times in the development of Borderlands 3, right? They've always just said, oh yeah, Randy's got on stage and said something. Well, it can't get any worse than this. And Randy says, yeah, foot, meat, mouth. He's he's a magician. Hold my hat, my rabbit. He makes all the fans disappear. But no, so the review codes that got sent out were, and I've now misplaced the story that I got this from, but essentially they were not review codes that would upgrade to the launch version. So they were a completely separate version to the release version and were in a buggier state, a worse state than
what the about to be released version was at. That, like, I feel like you wouldn't do that because that doesn't send a good message. They're reviewing a game that is not featuring the same issues that the real game has, and B, you're then just screwing over those people by not giving them the game.
I mean,
did I just hear you say Borderlands 3 stack?
Reviewers stack full of unobtainables.
Yeah, but you can't. The thing is that it doesn't have a double jump to get over the first ledge.
Oh, okay, right. So that's why the reviewers couldn't finish it, right?
Yeah, they couldn't get past the first ledge. They couldn't figure out the double jump.
They couldn't figure out the parry mechanic.
Yeah. Yeah. So why you would send out a poorly performing version, a worse performing version, because this has come out and not performed very well either, to be fair. From a purely review standpoint, everything I've heard is essentially it's Borderlands, but there's more things. Like there's more different types of guns. Like there's nothing majorly updated. It's basically Borderlands, but you have more different guns.
Yeah,
and more different powers.
And memes from as much as 8 years ago, like the Amber Lamps one.
Amber Lamps, that's the one. I
mean, look. To be fair, it is, I don't know whether to laugh or to cry kind of thing. Where it's like it is kind of funny, but it's also funny in a way of well, this joke is so ridiculously old and not funny that it's almost circled around back to being funny again.
Yeah, and that's what Borderlands has always been. It's always been memey and sort of cringy. But yeah, have you liked the Borderlands series, Warren?
Yes and no. I enjoy the games. The story in 1 was great. I haven't really gotten sucked into 2 yet. So 3, it wasn't something that was going to be a day one buy or anything. It's not bad. I know. I'm sorry.
No. I was trying not to make noise with my can of Coke. It's like,
I was like, oh no, does he really?
That
like
wasn't a for you
face.
Okay.
No, I'm just it's. I enjoy it, but to me, it's kind of like it's a loot shooter with a decent story in the background, but a lot of repetition of just back and forth fetch quests. And I just kind of wish there was a little more variety to that kind of stuff. But, I mean, there's only so much innovation you can do in that kind of a game. So, yeah.
Yeah. There's also the get all achievements achievement is broken.
Oh, of course it is.
Yeah.
Because they always test on a PlayStation and they go, it'll work just the same on the Xbox. No, it doesn't.
Yeah. Yeah, especially because, and I've learnt this recently, the Platinum Trophy is not a game-based trophy. It's a firmware-based trophy in that it's not programmed into the game. It's into the console itself, checking that you have unlocked all the other achievements, which doesn't obviously
into the meta
is not
system.
built into the Xbox, obviously. So, yeah, surprised but not surprised that that's broken. You would think a game that big would work, but
Well, but if all their testers got gimped versions that didn't work as well, what's the chances they have finished all achievements to test that one?
Yeah, there is that. Yeah, too. I think that the getting in early. I mean, how early did these review codes go out? I think is more the question, because in the early days, before review codes were sent out, a week before a game. So if you got the game, a month or two before the game came out to review it early, then there was potentially some expectation that you might get a slightly buggier or not a feature complete version, but you would usually include that in the review. You would mention that. I mean, I think the thing is that maybe this was just a particularly egregious example. And that it may have happened in the past before, but usually they'll upgrade you to the normal one, and the differences will be so negligible that you won't really notice them in a typical review setting. Yeah.
In the instances I've got, the only instances I've got really early review codes that, I mean, it was as you said, negligible differences, and anything that was. So the most recent one I can think of was Decays of Logos, which is an RPG game, and they messaged out we've realized that, so we've sent out these codes. We've realized that this part of the game is well below what our standard was. So we will be updating it, but there's a good chance it won't get updated by the time, like it won't go through certification by the time it gets to the launch date. And so you won't be able to play the game up to the standard we were expecting. We apologize for that. Like, they weren't aware of it at the time they sent codes out. It's like, we wouldn't have sent these out to you in this state had we been aware. And I thought that was really nice. I honestly don't think...
That's more than you'd usually get.
Yeah, I don't think Gearbox or 2K would have done that.
No, definitely not.
Just gone... Yeah, the magic was inside you all along. The bugs were inside you all along, guys. It's not our fault.
The real glitches were the friends we made along the way.
Well, technically, the glitch is actually in the console.
Right, of course.
Yeah. And the other thing with it now being released is that who is it that does all the stuff? Digital Foundry, that's it. Have done their testing on the Xbox One X. So there are 2 modes with Borderlands. There's a performance mode and a resolution mode, I think it's called. Resolution mode, yeah. So in resolution mode, your frame rate is capped to 30 frames per second, and it offers up to a 3200 by 1800 resolution. Performance mode drops that to 1080p and bumps the frame rate up to 60 frames a second. Only if you are not doing any combat.
Oh, so the one thing you want to actually do in the game. So it's great for looking at vistas.
It's great for walking across empty areas and not engaging with enemies. As soon as you get into any kind of combat, it will typically drop to about 50 frames. If you're in a vehicle doing combat, that's 40 or less. Which, look, isn't... In the grand scheme of things, isn't the worst thing, but when you're saying we're dropping the resolution so that we can push those frame rates to that locked 60 frames a second.
Yeah.
You're not expecting drops, especially when Gears can do it.
Exactly, and you're on the quote-unquote most powerful console in the world. Like, I'd hate to see what happens on a PlayStation Pro when you try to run this.
Well, here's the bad thing.
The drops are much worse.
Apparently on the X, it's actually the best running it is. It's even really poorly optimized on PC. So you have a high-end PC, and it chugs along. I was watching gameplay earlier, and this fellow was running it on a 2080 Ti and was barely able to get into the 30s when the vehicle combat area. I'm like, oh.
Jeez.
I mean, look, I'm not a massive frame rate guy for the most part. I mean, I would acknowledge that 60 is always better than 30, but I think the main thing is consistency, right? And if you're starting to drop frames like that game's not finished. Like you have optimization work you have to do there. Like, especially if you're capping it at 1080. I mean, 1080 was the standard on the Xbox 360, for God's sake.
Yeah, the what they think was the issue was that it's pushing the CPU a little too hard on the Xbox One X. PlayStation 4 Pro has a much weaker CPU, and it's just getting tanked by the push. So it runs best on an Xbox One S in the resolution mode with the 30 frames a second basically locked with a higher resolution.
Oh, great.
That's weird. It runs better at a higher resolution.
It runs more consistently, I suppose.
Mode. Yeah, runs smoother.
That's crazy. They can get you 4K 30, but they can't get you 1080p 50.
60.
Or 60, It's like, come on, how does that even work?
Yeah, it's strange that you'd push that out.
Yeah, I mean, well, I guess they have to at this stage, right? They gotta pay for all of Randy Pitchford's lawsuits.
Oh man. So I'm sure the game is still enjoyable for anyone who's actually playing it, but it sort of puts into question where the focus is, I guess. Did they spend all their money on the cleanup crew and not in developers? And, I don't know. I'm sure it'll get fixed, but it's not a good look to come out at this, Yeah.
I think this is just another one of those signs that we're at the end of the generation here. We really are pushing these things to their limits. I mean, obviously, this is not a great example because it seems like it's relatively poorly optimized, but we are getting into that territory where, the last couple of years we've had like the best looking games we've had so far. We've had really good stuff coming out, and now we're starting to get to the stage where it's like, okay, we're actually pushing it a little too far, and we really are sort of overdue for a new console.
Yeah.
Because I think, like, looking at like Cyberpunk, I don't know how that's going to run. Because I think that's really the last big major release that we're going to be seeing, that we know about at least, for this generation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it'll be... Yeah, Cyberpunk's the only real, like, aside from the sports titles, the only real big thing coming out before, that we're aware of, at least before the launch of the new consoles. At least in terms of what would potentially push the systems.
Yep.
Ori 2 is not gonna burn out your CPU on your Xbox One X. You know what I mean? Like, there are other titles people are looking forward to, but they're not gonna be. I can't think of anything else. There may be, I don't know. I mean, there's the CODs. There'll be COD coming out, but it's never really.
But have they confirmed that that'll be this gen for next year's one, or is that going to be a next gen one as well? Or
those seem to cross platforms pretty much, like the sports titles. They so many people play the Call of Duty series. It's worth it keeping it an older port, even if they cut something like they did in one of the other. I forget which Call of Duty it was. It was like, oh, no campaign in this version. Huh?
I think it was
Ghosts.
No, it was Black Ops 3. I think was the one. No, I'm with you. I'm wondering, because there's also been talk around if someone buys a version of the Xbox the Xbox One version of a game, that you can just play it on. You play the same version that'll upscale on the Scarlet, in the same way that we have Play Anywhere, where you can buy it on PC and play it on your Xbox One. You don't have to repurchase it. So I'm wondering, like, because that cross-gen stuff, we saw a little bit of that with the 360 over to the One, and a little bit of the original Xbox over to the 360. But I'm wondering if it's going to happen that same way again, if we're going to get two SKUs,
sure that's
we're
what
going to
they
get stack
said.
lists.
I'm pretty sure they said specifically that we were going to... Anything that runs currently on the Xbox One ecosystem is going to run on the Scarlet. I'm sure that it was like the actual back compat stuff might not. They might have to work on that. But as far as like the current like Xbox One library, I think their intent was to have that all be BC.
But I guess the question is then, does it go backwards? So, for example, Halo Infinite's going to be a launch title for the Scarlet, but the talk is that obviously it's going to come out for the Xbox One as well. Do I need to buy it twice, or do I buy it once and I can play it on both consoles, or what's the deal there?
Well, twice, of course, for the stack.
Well, that's the thing. This might be the end of stacks.
Imagine if you didn't have to buy it for the stack. Imagine if you could just buy the one version, and depending on what console you put it into, you access that achievement list.
Oh, that would be brutal.
That seems unlikely to me, because I think the manufacturers like the idea and the ability to sell you that thing again. It's like, oh, you upgraded. Here you go. You want it. You put all this time into it. Let's play it again.
Yeah, but I think they'll, because obviously the achievement list stuff is more of a very niche thing, especially stacking even in the achievement community is a bit more of a niche thing. I think that it's more likely that you'll just have because they already did 4K updates for stuff in like The Witcher 3 and that sort of stuff when the Xbox One X came out. So I'm assuming they'll just do the same thing with you'll get a down-res version or you get an up-res version depending on how you look at it, depending on what console you're playing it on. I mean, maybe they'll charge for that, maybe they won't. I don't know. Maybe it's like you buy the Xbox One version, then you chip in another $10 when the Scarlet comes out and you can upgrade it to that. Or maybe it's just like a native version. It doesn't matter what you have.
I didn't even think about it quite like that. You're right. Since it's going to be straddling the generations like that, maybe it'll just be classified as like a regular Xbox One title, and you'll just get that like automatic Scarlet upgrade, kind of like if you're playing on an X, you get the automatic 4K patch if there is one.
Exactly.
Maybe it'll just be something like that.
Yeah. But it'll be interesting because we don't really know what's going to be coming out for the Scarlet really anyway, so besides Infinite, which we know will be on both.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be... Again, I think we're at a point in in the whole gaming ecosystem where everything is really looking forward. Like, at this point where everyone... And it's reasonably early. Well, not early compared to the 360, but the 360 had a longer than expected life cycle, so...
Very.
Yeah. So it's actually probably about right.
We're about right, I think. That's 2013.
I'm almost of the impression that the devs probably could have squeezed a little more life out of the one. I mean, when you look at the file sizes and what they've got going for optimization, I think they probably could have... Well, okay, maybe not everybody. Maybe some of the big titles already are pushing it. You're right, with like the way Borderlands runs, but I don't know.
And I'm like Gears 5 looks incredible, and I think that's really the epitome of what we're going to get on the console. I don't think we're going to see anything better than that with current hardware. I mean, obviously the half step did change things up a little bit, but of course they're always going to be hamstrung by the fact that they have to develop for the original Xbox One rather than the One X, even though the Xbox One X might be the better platform to run it on.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I don't know, do you have anything more to say on that, Warren?
No. I guess let's just bring on the new generation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And maybe...
Day one.
Maybe Chen Yu, Shadow, and I can jump into Borderlands 3 when they finally fix it.
Yeah, I mean, so people are completing it and... within 3 days, so it doesn't make it seem like there's anything too intensive. I mean, we'll wait to see what happens with the DLC, but there's no Terramorphous or Crawmerax.
Or
I don't think.
Mad Box is Underdome Riot.
Yeah, I was going to no tournaments.
No. But yeah, definitely maybe. Although I've heard all the characters are obnoxious.
Great, love it.
Like more than. There were the occasional obnoxious characters like Tiny Tina, who was, that attitude. But apparently they're all just stupidly obnoxious.
Was Randy Pitchford voicing all of them?
Yeah. They got Molyneux in for a few.
Oh, well, no wonder the performance took a hit.
There was all this stuff they never accessed, like this branching magic that would level up the more you used it and stuff. Like, oh...
And if you plant a tree and come back in 10 years, it'll be grown up.
That's why it needs all that CPU power.
Oh.
Yep.
Yeah, it's trying to grow all these damn trees you planted. Moving on. We've got... we spoke about it whenever it was ago, that the UK Parliamentary Committee was... interviewing and talking to EA and I think probably 2K as well. I can't remember who else it was, but essentially about loot boxes and these game mechanics. Their report has come out. It's under the wider title of Immersive and Addictive Technologies, and this is the UK Digital Culture, Media and Sports Committee. So it goes into quite a bit. It goes into, because it is a 81-page report, as you would expect from a proper parliamentary report. It first goes into describing what are immersive and addictive technologies. So, VR, just gaming in general. Goes into psychosocial harms of immersive technologies, including gaming disorder, which has sort of made a bit of a rise in media attention, control over healthy use of social media, cyberbullying, harassment and grooming, exposure to age, inappropriate or harmful content, which was probably not specifically the gambling stuff. It was probably more the sexual and violent nature stuff. Because after that, it goes into financial harms of immersive technologies, including disordered levels of spending on games and gambling-like behaviors, which is where the loot boxes fell under. And then they had what their recommendations were moving forward after, a few other things like potential risks such as fake news in VR and AR and sort of not brainwashing, but shaping people's opinions and ideas through that sort of stuff. And in regards to loot boxes, essentially, they made the recommendation that first they should establish a scientific group to collate the evidence and based on the gambling-like mechanics in games, and actually connect them to behavioral changes and stuff like that in kids and people in general. And that an immediate recommendation was that loot boxes that contain the element of chance should not be sold to children playing games, and instead in-game credits should be earned through rewards won through playing the games. So taking out the loot boxes and just purchasing the items with in-game credits. And that was because in the absence of research which proves that no harm is being done, we believe the precautionary principle should apply and that they should not be permitted in games played by children until evidence proves otherwise. So they're saying, you haven't shown us that it doesn't destroy kids' lives, so therefore we're going to... Yes, we don't have the evidence to say it does, but we'd rather take the precaution, which is, you would almost say, the common sense thing to do.
Which is unusual for a parliamentary report.
Yeah, it's quite unusual. They also, in one of my favourite quotes, and I'll see if I can find the exact quote, I just know what they called them. There we go. They spoke about the interview process that they had with or the discussion process they had with them. So data on how long people play games for is essential to understand what normal and healthy, and conversely abnormal and potentially unhealthy engagement with games looks like. Game companies collect this information for their own marketing and design purposes. However, in evidence to us, representatives from the games industry were willfully obtuse in answering our questions about typical patterns of play. And I just love the idea of a bunch of British people calling someone else willfully obtuse. Just a bunch of politicians calling someone willfully obtuse.
Yeah, well, they're definitely not Australian politicians, are they?
No, they're unwillfully obtuse. So yeah, this is not... These are not laws. These are just purely recommendations by a parliamentary committee. So they do have some power, but nothing to push forward yet. But I mean, these are steps forward, and this, I think, is, you know, they did say also to work with PEGI in relation to maybe raising the age level, because, you know, all the sports games are like PEGI 3, which is like your E for everyone, basically, which is ridiculous given some of the loot box mechanics that are in there. So these are good steps forward, I think, positive steps forward in a general sense, without, you know, the government getting too heavy-handed in the matter as well.
Yeah, I would tend to agree. And I do like they're taking the common sense approach of saying, hey, we don't have any scientific proof around this, but honestly, considering all the horrible stuff that we've been hearing about this lately, and how this looks how there's literally like a pachinko machine and a Wheel of Fortune in the new NBA game. Maybe we just go ahead and say we'll just put the kibosh on this for now, until you can prove the thing that you said to say that you're not doing what you're definitely doing.
Yeah. Warren, thoughts? Oh, he's mute.
I don't know. I mean, it's gambling. I've never been huge with the whole loot box thing. So if they wanna cut it out because of that, that's totally cool. I mean, yes, it's totally directed at kids, the way that they've always put them. So it wouldn't shock me if this maybe finally does put a little more heat on the community to stop including loot boxes. But here's the big fear of mine. They've gotten accustomed to this revenue stream. They know that they've got their hooks into people and they like getting all that money in. Just charging you an extra $10 on a game is not going to even come close to equaling the amount of money that they were pulling off on loot boxes. So, man, if they get stopped on loot box usage, I don't even want to know what they're going to come up with next to get money out of us.
Well, it'll give us plenty of content to talk about, at least.
Yeah. Like EA's Ultimate Team, contributes just under $1 billion a year.
Ooh.
I think they've crossed the 50% threshold. So the Ultimate Team makes more now than half of EA's revenue.
I guess the big question is,
and all
GTA shark cards, because aren't they like the most profitable of all like the microtransactions?
Yeah, that's Rockstar. Yeah, Rockstar would be just raking it in. Which is interesting because EA is the one you hear all about, but I guess because Rockstar's not a shark. I don't know. I guess what's going to happen is like Rockstar shark cards, you're going to have everything priced out, but priced ridiculously where the Battlefront 2 method, except without loot boxes, just with really expensive characters. Where you either grind for 200 hours to get Darth Vader, or you spend $20 or 25 or 80.
Yeah, think of all the time saving that you'll have from those grinds that we created in these games that can convince you to buy these things.
It's just player choice, Matt. It's just giving the
Why
player
can't you just
choice.
Go back to selling us horse armor.
The choice
that worked so good.
Oh man, because we were all such fans of that when it came out. We were like, ha ha ha, such a stupid idea. Horse armor that doesn't do anything. Who would buy that?
And here we are, wishing all we have was stupid horse armor that doesn't do anything.
This really is the darkest timeline. But like, how much did you say they made from the Ultimate Team?
So I think 800 million net revenue.
Yeah, because what's it cost? Nothing.
Yeah, exactly, nothing, right? So you made 800 million, and all you have to do is just be a giant.
But yeah, no, exactly. You just have to
sell your soul, right? Like that's all you have to do is just be like, hey, you know what? Like whatever. Like it doesn't matter how unethical it is when you're making that much amount of money for nothing, basically. I think the EA and the other companies get more attention on it because they release a new game. They release new games all the time with new and even more egregious things in them. Whereas, like, Take-Two, when it comes to Rockstar and that sort of stuff, they release GTA, they update it every now and then, but that just churns away, making money for them, and they just don't pull enough attention to each other to make it worth anyone investigating. Because it's like, it's just the same thing they were doing last time, except it's still a massive, horrible thing that they're fleecing money out of people for.
Yeah, so looking at FIFA specifically, FIFA Ultimate Team made 28% of the revenue in the fiscal year leading up to 2019. Sales of FIFA were 14%.
That's unbelievable.
So it made double what the sales were.
So yeah, if you look at it in terms of game sales or game price, they would have to effectively triple the game price to still make the same money as they do now with with the loss of Ultimate Team in that format.
Yeah.
Would you spend $180 for the next FIFA?
I mean, some people probably will.
Absolutely, because Aston Villa's back in the Premier League, baby.
Oh boy. Okay,
bad example. Would you spend $180 for the next
a new Ashes cricket game?
There you go.
Oh no! I'll just wait for it to go to Game Pass, baby. Ooh.
Okay, what about NHL? I mean, like, they could keep churning out the same game with updated rosters, with a little bit of better graphics, maybe a new mode. But is it worth $200? Yeah, no, it's not. But and people don't realize that that's how much they're actually spending on it when they're diving into the microtransactions. It's kind of interesting if you highlight it to that level. Like, oh, well, had you actually paid, this is what it would have cost.
Yeah.
But then again, I mean, that cost is spread out across, the whales and super whales and dolphins of that community who just spend ridiculous amounts of money, where you have people like us who are like, we're not even going to buy the game, let alone buy the microtransactions for it.
It's like, well, that's on EA Access, never mind.
Yeah, exactly. Put it in the vault.
Yeah, it's very alarming how quickly little, $5 and $8 purchases build up. Because if you're not paying attention, I'll spend $5 here, and the next day, I'll spend another $5. If you do that for a week it's $35. You know, you spent $1,500 a year. Not, you know, and $5 a day doesn't sound like much, and you don't notice it because it's designed to be like you only need $5. You only need $5 this time. You'll be fine.
It's impulse buy territory, and at least usually you get a Ratalaika game for that.
Yeah, you usually get 1,000 Gamerscore, not even like
not the chance of getting a Ronaldo card.
Retired Tim Cahill. You get the retired one, so like he's put on a little bit of weight. He's not as he can't jump as high as he used to.
He's had too many pies.
Yeah. How good would that be if you, because they do charity matches of like, you know, Liverpool legends or something. How good would it be if you had like a FIFA Ultimate Team series, you know, no loot boxes, but the Legend series, where it's just people now, how they're retired and chubby and like, you know, and fat strikers and stuff. That'd be great to just see.
What I think EA should do is
with Madden.
Yeah, John Madden is all the characters. Dude, the thing you gotta do is start the touchdown. You know what EA,
you know what I do?
You know what EA needs to do is that they need to put on all of their games, they need to have, with all their Ultimate Teams, for no matter what sport, you just need to have a Pele card, where it's just Pele now, but he just plays whatever sport that is that you're playing, whether it's hockey, whether it's basketball, whether it's maybe soccer, but probably not. So, you know, maybe don't put him in soccer, actually. He doesn't need to be in soccer. Put him in all the other
sports. Is that the guy who took a bite out of...
And max stats. Max out his stats. Just give him a beer gut and, like, you know, no hair and just, like... But, you know, he's ripping it up on the ice and just triple deking and...
Perfect. You know what?
Shooting.
Game of the year.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be good. That's what I want. I want... Because the NCAA games did this, and no game does it anymore. Mascot mode. Mascot mode was brilliant. I'd love mascot mode in all of the sports. That was...
What, you mean when you can do the dancing?
No, all the players are replaced with the mascots. So all the character models are the mascots.
From Black College Football when you had to do the dance moves.
Oh, God.
Sorry, Black Football College Experience. Warren.
Oh, my bad.
You got to experience what it was like to be black and play football in college. Probably. No context. Cool. All right. Well, we all think this is generally moving forward, and I've forgotten now everything we've talked about. So we'll just move straight on to the G-Task Roundup, and it feels weird having me do this. So, Warren, given it's kind of your show, the G-Task, not the podcast. This is my show. So let's not get that mixed up.
Chin can play.
Yeah. You should. I guess you should go through this.
Okay, can do.
It's your comp.
Can do.
Hopefully, you can read all my code.
Yeah, I got this. The bonus this period is Cheesing It. This is actually the second time it's come up. We've already had this on the solo side. Now this is the team take on it. Yeah. This is to end the scoring period, having unlocked at least 6,000 Gamerscore as a team. Just to note, it's not looking at anyone's individual scoring, so it's literally just looking at the team scoring itself.
And so when you say game score, do you mean true achievement score?
No, I mean achievement count.
Okay, and everyone on the team has to get 6,000 individually.
Achievements. Yes.
Yep, got it. Yeah,
right. Cool. And so it can't be 3 people on the same account, right? That's not like or does that have to be 3 separate people? I'm always so confused by these
3 separate people
contests.
on the same account, but you need to do it with 6 people.
Oh, okay, right. No, okay. Yeah, right. Yep, got it.
Yep. To actually not confuse people, it is 6,000 Gamerscore as a team. Let's try and not hurt people's brains too much.
Ignore it. Anyway, the solo cutoff, which was ridiculously low, I'm assuming because everyone was playing Borderlands and Gears and was feeling the decay, or I don't know what, but it was only 390 TA difference. It was silly.
Thank God for that.
Yeah, I am surprised I made it through, to be honest.
Me too. It was, I had Blair Witch really screwed me on that ratio decay.
Oh, yeah, that one's been dropping pretty bad.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like a
stone. I don't even know what I played to pull me through. I know I got like 100 points in Distraint, but that's not gonna do much. Anyway, what was our low score in the solo side?
All right, our solo side low score would be Hawkeye Berry 20. He had 506 TA difference, which was about 116 above the drop. The high score was R56 Cooper S11, who was 28th overall, with 3,565 TA difference.
Ooh.
Reset 42 got himself knocked out, unfortunately. The line does move up eventually. Yeah. It gets us all at some point.
Yeah. He did have a little... he commented on the fact that he was eliminated with an "I'm free." So I don't think he's too disappointed at that, but
fair enough.
Still...
He got his badge, I guess.
That's too funny.
I'm trying to get out. It won't let me.
Keeps dragging me back in.
I forgot to change my privacy settings on the Sunday night so that Monday I'd just get negative 10,000 and be forced to be eliminated.
I mean, that's the brutal way out if you so desire, I guess. But yeah, the team cutoff much higher than the solo cutoff, 2,610. So it's obviously not just 4 times the 400-ish. The teams are really pushing much harder than solo. The low score on the team is TCP, Thor's Bald Eagle, Captain Cookie 1, and Mad Eye Pad Eye, with 2,778 TA difference. They were only 168 above drop. My own team actually was only about 500 above drop by the end. I was getting ready to have to turn on the console and pop something. I'm like, oh no. The high for the team side is the Aussie Cooper Troopers of Doom, with Ozzy Buffinatic? Dr. Crack...
Ozbuffinatic.
Ozbuffinatic.
Dr. Crack
right?
Jones.
Dr. Crack Jones and our 56 Cooper S11. They took 22nd spot with 6,296 TA difference, and no one that we're following was knocked out.
Yeah.
Nice.
Which is good. You're all... most of the people in team side are still pushing hard. I know my team is also trying to drop out, but we just, by virtue of just playing normally, we're still above the line.
Oh, I'm Chad.
So,
my team's so good at video games, I just can't stop playing them.
I want to die, I just can't. It won't let me leave. It's like, yeah.
The Hotel California of competitions.
Yes, exactly. But with that all rounded up, we will move on to our review. And by we, I mean Prue and Mighty Mango, because it wasn't Warren and I this week. So Prue and Mighty Mango reviewed Solo Islands of the Heart, and you'll hear what they had to say about it right now.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's review. I am Prue. Joining me, as always, is my friend, Mr. Mighty Mango. How are you?
Are we real? We're real friends, aren't we?
We are real friends.
Yeah, we're real friends now. That's right.
Yeah, we've met in real life. And you know what? I have a Valentine for you.
Oh, you do?
I don't. But doesn't it feel like we should? Because
we should after playing this game, which was let's get into it.
All
right. So this week we played Solo Islands of the Heart. It was published by Merged Games and developed by Team Gotham. It has a sale price of $19.99, and it released on July 31st, 2019.
Yeah, so we'll just call it Solo because it's easier.
Solo.
Okay, so it's classified on TA as an adventure game, which, okay. I would call it a puzzle adventure game, maybe?
Yeah, puzzle adventure, for sure, because it had little puzzles.
Yeah. It's a cutesy adventure game where you basically explore love.
In the form of islands and stuff.
Yeah. It's an interesting concept, actually. I kind of really liked the idea behind the whole game, and in fact, I think the writing is pretty solid too. So you are given these questions consistently, and like even when you start up the game for the first
it tells you to answer the questions honestly.
Yeah. So did you do that?
Yes, I did, and I actually made the love interest my girlfriend's name.
Yes, me too. Yeah, yeah. So your boat actually turns into your love interest's name. But...
I noticed that her name was on the boat.
Yep. So when you first get into the game, it asks you your gender and the gender of the one that you love, and then what kind of a relationship you have. Like, are you brokenhearted, or are you in a good relationship? That sort of thing. And then throughout the game, after you complete your puzzles, you get asked these very personal relationship-based questions, and the game, the text changes based on what you give the game. And I thought it was actually kind of a neat concept.
I think it's a neat idea, just kind of to tap into your emotions and then change the way the game plays or speaks to you. I think it's a neat idea.
Yeah, so, like, I'm trying to think of an example of one of the questions. So one of the questions was, like, if your loved one decided to, their ambitions carried them to a faraway country, what would you do? Would you follow them? Would you try to convince them to stay home? Or would you, would you break it off? And all of the responses that you get from the other characters that you talk to are different based on that, and they're pretty thoughtful. And I think the writing is done pretty well. So I would say that was what carried me through the game was the writing in that aspect.
I would agree, because the gameplay is,
it's meh.
It's meh.
It's meh. It's So what you do is you're basically the only puzzles are that you kind of create your own platforms in order to reach certain areas.
Yeah, with the little boxes and other things.
Yeah, you get boxes and then fans and all those kind of tropes. It's a pretty simplistic platforming adventure puzzler game. But I really think that the strength of the game is in its presentation and it's in the writing as well.
I would agree. The writing was very, like you said, it was inventive. It was different, which is a good thing.
Yeah. It's a cartoony sort of. It's a 3D action. Actually, I don't want to say action, but 3D platformer where it's like, I guess, isometric-y kind of.
Yeah, it's definitely isometric-y. Yeah. I'd definitely say that.
So let's talk about the achievements.
Okay, let's get into them. So there are 20 achievements for 1,000 Gamerscore. Currently, there's 180 track gamers in it. 87 have completed it, which I don't know if the people that didn't complete it, myself included, just didn't want to play through the whole amount because the game's not very long.
No.
4 to 5 hours. But yeah, pretty much all of it is, most of it is going through the story. A couple just little task achievements, I'll call them, like pet a hiding mole, which there's little moles that don't look like moles, but apparently they are moles. They look like a Diglett.
Yes, they do look exactly like Diglett. Yeah,
they look Diglett from Pokemon.
There's actually and
then for taking pictures, there's a couple for taking pictures.
Yep. Which is actually kind of, that's story related. You actually can't progress without doing those.
Yeah.
So, but there are I'd say 3 or 4 achievements that are missable because you're supposed to pet all the animals, feed all the animals, and then interact with all the ghost partners. Yep. So there are some that are missable, but they're not. You don't have to go out of your way to do these things. Like all of those things are on the path. It's not a branching path. It's like very small grids of islands. So you can see everything in front of you. So you just kind of have to. It's possible to miss it, I suppose, but if you
kind of have to go to each one anyway.
Yeah, exactly. So if you want to, you can follow a guide. But honestly, a guide, I wouldn't consider it necessary, but it would speed up the process.
Yeah, it would speed it up, but I would think it would ruin a little bit of the experience too.
Yeah,
if you want to, because the game is short enough that you should be able to enjoy it. It doesn't feel daunting. It doesn't feel like a task. Like, oh my god, I got to do this now. One thing on it though, it does have 2 different achievements for finishing the game, which you can stop, you can reboot, and then choose the other ending.
Yep. Yeah, there is a very specific way to circumvent that. You actually have to pick one specific ending, then quit in a very specific way. So I would definitely recommend, if you don't want to do 2 playthroughs, to look that up. But other than that, you can. I don't think you can go back for the missables, but I really don't think, as long as you know what they are going in, you kind of don't need to follow a guide unless you get stuck on something. Because some of the platforming puzzles, they're not terribly challenging, but they're just frustrating enough where it's like, okay, I don't want to spend 10 more minutes on this particular section, especially when you're more interested in just getting to the next part where it's like talking about your love life and stuff. So but it's still good. I did enjoy my time with the game, I think.
I enjoyed it. Like I said, I didn't play through it as much just because of life commitments, but the game is actually, it's very enjoyable. I mean, it's a good story. It's fun. I had fun with it. I want to go back and finish it if I can make the time to do it. So,
yeah.
What do you think about the price?
20 is a little steep, I think, because it's a shorter adventure. Yeah, I would say it's probably. I would have put 15 as the like right on the dot price.
Yeah, I think so. 15, I think, is fair because it is well done. It is a well done game.
Yeah, and has tons of charm, and it's cutesy and fun and colorful. It's, I would say knock $5 off the price, knock maybe an hour off the running time, and you're going to have a really solid experience. I just think it's a little bit longer than it needs to be and a little bit more pricey, but I think it's still a good time.
I think if your character could move faster, that would be helpful.
Yes.
The character seems to kind of be moving through molasses a little bit in the game.
There is a run, but even that is
pretty slow.
Yeah.
That should be the default speed, and then there should be a run button that makes you go fast.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. Let's see. Anything else to talk about Solo Islands of the Heart?
I don't think so. I think your dog says I think it's enough.
Yeah, sorry, but she's had enough. She wants to play. So, all right. Okay, so that was it for Solo Islands of the Heart, and I'm gonna do that again. You can cut that out, Jen, or whoever,
or leave it. It's kind of funny.
Yeah, we could leave it.
Shh.
Okay, so that is it for Solo Islands of the Heart, and we will throw it back to you guys.
All right, so that was good and or bad, depending on what they said, because I didn't quite get to it before I put it in the show. So I'm glad you enjoyed it, or did not. I'm not glad you did not enjoy it.
You should have enjoyed it regardless as to whether or not they did. Yeah.
It was a very introspective game for me. It certainly made me look inside to some of the questions that came up when I played it. So, yeah. Moving on to what people that matter have been playing this week. Matt.
Oh, I matter? Oh, thanks. Oh, hang on. I just got that. It's fine.
Wait. Was it? I just meant more than Prue and Mighty Mango.
Oh, no, that's
sure.
That's fair. Sure, let's go with that. That's fine.
What was the pun?
Matter.
When did I make a joke?
That's fine. Don't worry about it. It's fine. You'll edit this bit out, right?
Hey, I'm a genius.
Okay, so you'll edit this bit in. Okay, right.
Yeah. I'm going to put it at the earlier bit and just confuse people for the bit that was cut and just have this in. It's like, what?
Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. So, things that I've been playing this week. It's been a bit of a quiet week for me, but I finally got through the rest of Stories, Tale of Destinies, or whatever it's called. Path of Destinies.
Generic name.
Yep, generic name, Ferry Simulator. It's still a good game, but really I got so tired of it because I'd gotten all the bookworm achievements, so for doing all 25 endings, and then I still basically had 9 level ups that I needed to learn the last few skills. No new content, no new stories, no new endings, just grinding the same playthrough over and over and over again. If anyone wants to do this achievement, the way to do it is pick one of the playthroughs, get to the last level, fight all the way to the very end of the level, and then pause it right before the cutscene starts. It'll say saving in the corner, then go back to the dashboard, start the game up again, continue, and it'll start you from the beginning of that level, but with all the experience you've kept. Don't do it too early because it won't save, and don't do it too late because if it does it too late, you'll need to restart the playthrough. So there's a bit of finagling you need to do with it, but it's definitely the easiest way. You just grind the same level over and over again instead of having to do all the story beats to get back up to that fifth level.
So that final section of the story, essentially.
Yeah,
okay.
The whole airship
usually,
part, and it's basically the same no matter what playthrough you do, so it should be fine. I spent
and the ending gets you the most experience. Like that last section gets you the most experience generally.
Pretty much, because it's pretty much just arena fight after arena fight on top of boats or airships. So you just do I think it's 5 or 6 fights in a row, and then right before you walk in to fight the Emperor at the end with the final cutscene, you just pause it, wait for the saving icon to disappear, and then just dashboard and start the game up again. It's still cumbersome, it's still very grindy, but it's a lot easier than just playing through over and over again, wanting to pull your hair out. But it's done.
So as long as you get the Force with you.
Yeah. Yes.
You can defeat the Emperor.
Yes, exactly. I mean, there are a lot of Star Wars references in this. But overall, really cool game. I'm looking forward to playing Omen Sight. Combat is decent. The story is interesting, but I think too short and a lot of repeats for the content. There are only about 8 or 9 levels in the whole game, and you basically go through a selection of them, choosing 5 of them for each playthrough. So you'd get a lot of repeats. Like the last level is all pretty much always the same, and usually one of the middle levels is one of the same. So the game's fine. I would definitely recommend it, but just realize that it takes a maybe 8 to 10 hour game and drags it out to being more of a 15 to 20 hour, unfortunately. Other than that, Chen and I played Human Fall Flat. We played the new Steam DLC level. Had a great time with it.
We did, yeah.
We smashed it, actually. Yeah. It took us 10, 15 minutes to do. It did help that we had a guide and there were lots of sort of shortcuts we could take. We're still absolutely fantastic at that game. We really should be on Games Done Quick for that, because we absolutely smash it. We're so great at this whole physics puzzler thing. We never fall off the edges. We never drop anything. And we always understand.
Swinging on chains.
Yep. We'll make the jump first time every time.
Climbing on things, just as I shuffle my butt up and you just sort of jump up, I'm like, oh, well then.
Roll a barrel over and just hop up, taking half as much time as you did. No,
I had lag.
It's fair enough. I can't argue with that, especially when I was on the other end of it. It's still a hilarious game, well worth playing, and the content's free, and the achievements are easy, much easier than the Dark DLC where you had to do the speedrun achievement. So I would highly recommend getting into it. I'm interested to see if they do any more content for that game. They seem to just be releasing a new content pack for free every couple of months, and I'm sure it doesn't take them super, super long to make them, but it is still free content with achievements, so...
I think they've mentioned... Sorry, go Warren.
It surprises me. I'm like, why would they keep putting out levels like this when they could have probably put out a Human Fall Flat too? So I mean, if this is what they're doing for their fans already, maybe they got something big they're working on in the background with the rest of the team, or who knows?
I think there's a users can create levels. I think they've mentioned really good user created levels will become part of the main game.
Oh, great!
So I think that's I don't know if that was whether Steam was one of those or whether it's been implemented in this update. But look, that will always help, because no matter how good the developer is, the users are always way better at building stuff in their game.
Yeah, they go gangbusters. It's still a hilarious, fun game to play, and especially consider you can see it in crisp 4K. With how many players? 4 to 8 players or whatever, some ridiculous amount of players.
I think there's 8, yeah. Yeah, and they've got good customization options. I was a present.
Yep.
This time. So I was all wrapped up in my Christmas wrapping.
So you couldn't tell which direction you were facing? No,
at first I couldn't figure out which way I was facing, but it's good, I'm trying to think. Replayability is, And it's the time of year, Christmas, we're getting into Christmas season. All the decorations will be coming out soon to buy at the shops and stuff.
So we'll see what else they come up with. But I had a lot of fun with it. Main thing I've been playing this week was Livelock, which was Games with Gold a while ago. I'd actually bought it before that, which is always the way it goes, it seems. Decent game. I'd started it a while back. I'd played through the first sort of 7 levels or so, which is about halfway through the first act. it's a twin stick shooter with. I mean, that's pretty much all it is, really. It's a co-op twin stick shooter where you can play up to 3 players. There's a few achievements for playing 3 of the same class and 3 of different classes. You just go through and shoot a bunch of robots, and you get a couple of abilities. It's like a super bog standard twin stick shooter, but it's got some decent production values in it. It looks nice. Sound effects are nice. The voice acting is pretty rough, though, especially in the cutscenes. And any of the audio logs you pick up feel like they've been recorded by a totally different person who does the voice of the actual character they're supposed to be. Not sure how that happened. Maybe they just threw them in at the end. The only really problem I had with the game is it's quite grindy. You do need to get level 30 with each of the 3 characters, and one playthrough will probably get you close to maybe level 27, 28, depending on how good you are at the game. So you either need to do 3 playthroughs, or there's a really quick way. If you do the level 2-1, Act 2 level 1, and you just put it on the highest difficulty and you sprint to grab the object and run to the end of the level, you can get a level up. You get 30,000 XP every time you do it. So you can level yourself up from basically 0 to 30 in maybe an hour. So that's a pretty easy way to grind it out. So what I would advise doing is I would say go for all the collectibles with one character. I would say pick Hex or Vanguard. And then get all the collectibles, get all the levels up, try to get as many achievements as possible. And then go back and redo the levels that you need to do with the other characters to get their collectibles. There's about 6 collectibles that are unique to each character. They're in the same spot. You just have to pick them up with a different character. And then I would say grind out any other achievements you left. There's a level 1-8, which is good for getting your 10,000 enemy kills. So it's good for that. You just put on the easiest difficulty. Oh, and there's an achievement for finishing on the hardest, not the super hardest, but like the hard difficulty. The game is essentially a war of attrition. If you die, you just respawn straight away and you don't get a bonus to your points, which don't actually matter. So you can just keep throwing yourself at the enemies until they die. There's only a couple levels where you need to escort something, which can be a little bit difficult, like the level 1-7 that I got stuck on for a while. But if you do that or you get a co-op partner, you'll just blaze through the entire game and just shoot a bunch of robots for ages. There is some grinding to do with killing a certain amount of different enemies to get their cards. So there are some enemies that only show up towards the end of some of the later levels. So you need to redo those a few times. So there is quite a bit of grinding involved. But realistically, I mean, you can get the game done in maybe 15 hours and actually enjoy maybe 10 of those. So, and it's got a...
Why were you playing Live Lock?
I needed something that I had started that had a decent TA ratio because I was getting absolutely screwed by the ratio decay on Blair Witch from last week when I was the high score, one of the highest scoring people. I think I was 4th or something along those lines. The Blair Witch decay, I needed something, and with the 2.5 ratio on Live Lock, because it has that, everyone who got games with gold tried it for 5 minutes and then stopped playing it. It's well worth getting into and just smashing out. But overall,
there were also a lot of achievements that were level based.
Yes.
Perhaps for a bonus last week.
Yes, that certainly would have helped if I had played anything else.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So we definitely need to do those co-op missions.
Yeah, let me know. I've got a fully leveled up character, so I'm happy to jump on and we'll just smash it out. So you need 3 people for it, but it's easy to do. And like you just basically just do like one of the easy missions, like that level 2-1 mission.
Yeah. Or the tutorial, I think they say.
Yep, easy. Any of them will work. And then the last thing I've been playing recently is my copy of Metro 2033 Japanese arrived in the mail. So I hooked up my Japanese Xbox, turned it on, and I realized the whole game was in Japanese. Which, I probably...
Even the menus?
Even the menus. Even the dialogue, all of the dialogue is redubbed in Japanese, which I found...
Oh, wow.
Like, they went to task on this. It's only because I've played through the game so many times with the original game, then I played it on the Redux version, and then the digital Redux version.
Physical. Oh,
yeah, physical and digital, yeah. So I played through the game like 3 times already. So I know it inside and out for the most part, and the walkthrough's still good. There was a little bit of confusion around how to sell weapons because I can't read Japanese very well, and by very well I mean basically at all. I have a little bit. I can pick some things up. I understand when someone goes "nan desu ka," but that's pretty much it. It's still a fantastic game. I'm probably about halfway through it. I'm on my favorite level, which is the frontline level where you have to sneak from I think it's from the communist side of the fight over to the Nazi side, and you have to try and sneak by them all, or you just run through and kill them all.
Yeah.
There's an achievement for that one as well. So I'm just doing my sort of my stealth and good person playthrough to try and get as many achievements as possible, and then I'll go clean it up later. But still having a good time. Took me a long time to figure out the menus. Man, trying to invert the aim when you don't know what invert looks like in Japanese, very, very difficult. I was like, is this the option? Well, it's a checkbox, so I'll check it and then I'll back out and see what happens. Nope, okay, nope, still not working. Also trying to get the brightness up because the game is very dark. So it's been it's basically just like playing the game again, just with some extra challenges involved. But I'm having fun with it, and I'll probably try and finish it up this week when I have time. But that's all I had this week. Bit of a slow week for me, just 2,350 score for me. What about you, Kirby? What have you been doing?
Well, I've rightfully so jumped back onto my roguelite train, but before that, we will talk about the most recent Ratalaika that came out, because I figure that's something I can do, is talk about whether it was good or not every week, because now they're doing it weekly. I'm pretty sure the next one is One Night Stand, which is exactly what it sounds like.
You play a piece of furniture
where you're a side table. No, it's a visual novel where you go through, and it's to do with having a one night stand. Yeah, I'm not 100% sure, but I believe that's the next one coming out. Let me check my emails. I deleted them. Okay, good. Can I undelete them, please? Where are they? Where'd you go? Oh my god. No, back out of there. That's nonsense. What's the difference between bin and archive? What's going on? There we go. One Night Stand launches next month on console. Okay, next month. October 2nd. So there's going to be something in between then, because we have 2 weeks until then. Never you mind, foolish listeners. So I played Distraint Deluxe Edition, though I don't know what separates it from the Standard Edition, because there wasn't much to it, as is expected from Ratalaika. It's a side-scrolling kind of point-and-click. I guess you would classify this as maybe a point-and-click adventure, though you could also probably just go with adventure. There is very limited item picking up and using on other items, and the way the interface is done, it's not like use item. You have 3 item slots. If you pick up an item, it'll go into your first slot, and you can just rotate which slot is the active one. If the item is active, if you click it on something, you will attempt to use it. So there are a few missables, but the game is like 35-40 minutes long, so it's not the worst deal if you miss them. The point of the game is that you are playing as a person who does stuff, because I skipped all of the text.
Oh, you spaz mode it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you're like a repossession person. You're like people have got loans with a bank or something like that, and they've defaulted, so you're taking their property from them, and you kind of feel like a bad guy doing this. And there's a couple occasional horror-ish moments where, like, blood is on the walls and stuff, and there's kind of a general creepy vibe throughout the entire game. And then there's an elephant that chases you at one point, and yeah, that happens. It's a relatively simple game. Bills has a great guide to get everything within the 45 minutes or whatever. It's really quite weird. It is. I'm sure the soundtrack and stuff would have been creepy as well, but of course didn't listen to it, because that would be crazy people talk. But yeah, and then the ending of the game kind of is one of those endings you're like, okay, I see what you did there. That's interesting. Okay, uninstall. I've got my 1K. I'm done.
Request scan.
Yeah. Outside of that, I've been playing Human Fall Flat with you, which we talked about. That was I wanted to mention again. It was really good. I briefly went into Quest of Dungeons, which is a roguelite dungeon crawling sort of a turn-based, I guess. You sort of move across squares, and like monsters will move every time you move if they're on the screen, and you just like run into them to attack and level up and get better weapons and get through the dungeon and beat the boss and win the game.
So it's not even a roguelite. It's a rogue game basically, right? Because that is Rogue. That's what the game is. The original game, Rogue.
Yeah, and you restart every time. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess it'd be definitely more roguelike than roguelite. I mean, it's randomization, and the final boss is the same, but any bosses leading up to that point are randomized. The enemies that are on that level, like there's just from a pool of 3 or whatever, so they'll never change. Those 3 will always be throughout the level, but whether they show up, and then what combinations, your quests are different, item drops are different, all that sort of stuff. So I've only had 2 achievements left in this game: beating it with the Shaman and beating it with the Necrodancer from Crypt of the Necrodancer or whatever. I don't know if they're called the Necrodancer in this game, but it's it's cadence, same look, same they move on that same rhythm as well. So you like hold right to move, and it's like dit. I'm like, oh my god, this is so slow and unbearable. But they're the 2 harder characters to play the game through. So I played through the Shaman and beat the game with that. They're only annoying because they're kind of in between a melee character and a magic character. So they don't start off with a good attack in terms of the spell that they can use, and they're not a ranged character, so you either have to find a spell, and the strategy is for the final boss, because he's also a ranged character, is kind of cast a spell, get out so that they can't see you and they won't be moving while you're moving, and just run around until your spell recharges, get in, attack again, run out, and sort of rinse and repeat until you win. The issue is that you have to get lucky and get a good spell, because you don't start with anything worth using to begin with. So I got the Shaman done, which I mean, I've been stuck on that for ages, and it's not even a particularly difficult achievement. The runs take about an hour, and I always get to the final boss and then die because I don't have anything good to use. So just the Necrodancer left. I hopefully knock that out this weekend, and that'll be one of my backlog roguelites done. I dipped my toes into Slay the Spire, which is a deck building roguelite game. Really fun. V-Sully has some ridiculously good guides up on True Achievements. I think he was one of the first to complete it, but at the moment, my strategy is poor, or my luck is poor, so just the strategies I want to execute are kind of... I mean, it's roguelite, so it's randomized, so the cards you get are going to be random, so you kind of go in having to think of maybe 3 or 4 builds that you like to use and hope that you start getting cards to go into one, when inevitably you'll be given cards that will be divided evenly into all 4 of your strategies, so you can't effectively use any of them. But that's how it is. But it's fun. It's gonna get repetitive, I'm sure, but it's one of those ones where you can... I mean, all roguelike games are kind of like this. You can go in, you have 1 run or 2 runs, and be done for the day, and that's okay. You don't have to... the playthrough doesn't take 4 hours, so you're sitting there, struggling. I got really lucky on my first run and got to the final, what would have been the final boss, and then the final boss killed me. Didn't realize it was the final boss. I was like, did pretty good. Then on my winning run, I was like, there's only 3 bosses in the game. Okay. Right. Well, wish I'd won before and not sort of taken it easy and be like, it's fine. But yeah, a good game though. And finally, I've been playing Feral Fury, which is a twin-stick shooting roguelite. As with most twin-stick shooting roguelites, the important mechanic is the dodge mechanic, and I have not yet mastered the dodge mechanic, so I did get further than I had ever previously gotten, but I believe the game it has been made slightly easier. Like, it just feels like it's not as difficult as when I first played it. I could be placebo effect, and coming back to it after finishing, like, Enter the Gungeon and stuff has made me better at this type of game. But, yeah, I'm still not great at the dodge mechanic, and I'm also one of those people where I'll get a weapon, and I'll go, okay, well, so because you can have your basic pistol, which is unlimited ammo, the usual thing, and you pick up another weapon in your secondary item slot, and that has ammo, and you can pick up ammo pickups to refill it. And I go, oh, okay, I've got this other weapon. Now I can't use it until the boss, because otherwise I won't have ammo. So then I just go back to the pistol and go, oh, that guy dropped ammo. Okay. Oh, that guy dropped ammo. Could have used my weapon. That guy dropped ammo too. So even though I know that they're going to drop ammo relatively consistently, I go, yeah, but what if I run out before the boss? So, just going to hold on to that weapon and not use it.
The video game backlog mentality. Yep.
Yeah. There are some people who will get a weapon and go, oh, this is the best weapon in the game. Oh, look, a crab. Boom! And just, use it on whatever for the sake of using it. And then there's people like me who end up with the final boss with 800 grenades because they weren't sure if they would have needed them. Yeah. Yep. But ended up with 1,330 Gamerscore for the week. And No, I didn't complete any more roguelike games, but I'm getting close. I'm getting close to Quest of Dungeons and a couple others. So slowly just chugging my way up that board now that I've put a bit of focus into it. Warren, you seem to have been playing a lot this week. Tell us about it.
Well, most of it wasn't really that interesting. I was working on the level achievement myself, or the level bonus, I should say, myself. So I ended up playing a bunch of games for that. Some of them ended up in last week, so they're not all in here, which is good, because the ones from last week were really boring, like Windows 8, Windows Phone stuff. So this week I was playing some Mortal Kombat X, or XL, or XLLLL, I don't know. I guess it's been re-released, it has some different names. But there's some fairly easy level achievements early on in it that I cranked through. The majority of them actually came from Worlds Builder, another re-released game with a new name. Kind of a funky game. It's got a somewhat kind of unobtainable achievement, or partially discontinued, or I don't know. Game Info will figure it out and let you know, I'm sure. But yeah, weird game, weird Gamerscore achievements. Really, really time consuming, or really, really quick. Maybe if you get lucky, I guess. I don't know. I'm not lucky. It's really, really grindy for me. I played some Killer Instinct. I guess I had a couple of my guys that were in the 80 fight challenges area. I was trying to get some quick points because our team was kind of falling down low on the chart this week for score. So ground out some fight challenges with the DLC guys. It's relatively easy to do. Just go into survival mode if you haven't yet, and just crank out some fights in there and do your specials, see what it is you need. It's not too bad. Dungeon Defenders, played some of that for the levels, and apparently there's some like weird buggy plus issue with them that all of your party members get XP at the same time, and their numbers all add together, and therefore you get your level achievements a lot quicker than you normally would, which is awesome with me because it made it easy. So yeah, there is that. Working through a couple games still, just trying to clean them up eventually, sort of. Not that I ever really finish things, but, hey. Was playing Onrush while it was on the Game Pass? No.
Yeah, I think it...
Yeah, it was on Game Pass.
Very recently.
And buddy of mine, Yoda, pointed out that it was on sale in the Microsoft Store on disc for $5. So I snagged it, and a couple days later it showed up. Like, oddly, there was like 2-day air they shipped it. It was like, hey, thanks, Microsoft.
It's too quick,
Oh, yeah. I was like, oh, yeah. Okay, here it is. So went back to playing that. It's relatively grindy, and I've got a ton of work still to go, but It's just kind of a refreshing take on a racing game because it's not really a racing game. It's more of like a team play racing game. I don't know how to explain it other than that, really. You want to be with the pack much more than you want to be off in front of everybody. It doesn't really help your team much. Grip, another weird kind of racing game, although this one you really do want to be in the front. I got my 1,000 laps done, which is a ridiculous achievement. It used to be 10,000 laps, and now it's only 1,000.
Wow.
So hey, I'm glad for that at least. But still, it's like a 15 ratio for the 1,000 laps. You can do it on, I guess your best you can do is like a 21 second lap with like the ideal conditions on the best path.
Unbelievable.
Or you can write a script and let it do it for you. Which
right.
is what I did.
More believable. Yeah.
I actually drove about like maybe 400 of them. And I'm like, okay, this is just going to take me ages. I'm going to let the Xbox stay on overnight and drive for me. And it drives off a lot, but it doesn't matter. It resets it and off it goes. So, probably not this period, but a few periods in the future after maybe someone else pops it, I'll put the script up for anyone that wants to have them. But I don't want TK quite yet, so
no, fair enough.
We'll hold off on that. Trying to finish up the campaigns on Universe at War, Earth Assault, so I can finally reset the game and get Althea to unmake enemies, because it's a PC-only achievement, and it's all another broken kind of thing.
Joy.
I love those kind of strats, so it's a slog, but I'm going to finish off the last campaign, and it's going to get done. That's going to be a completion. I don't know why, but I'm going to finish that one. And I've been playing Anthem, because along with Onrush being $5 on disc, it was $10 on disc on that same sale, and I picked it up as well. Yeah, I know everyone's like, why are you playing Anthem? I'm like, because it was $10. I'm like, I'm not going to knock that.
So they gave you $10 and you took it away from them?
They gave me
No, that's
$10.
an anti-$10. That's when the 10 is before the dollar sign.
Okay, right.
This is the 10 after the dollar sign.
Okay, right. So you gave them money and then you took the game off them. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. And then, as always, played Neverwinter, because it's that endless grind you have to kind of always work on forever and ever. And Elite Dangerous, because we're still venturing through the galaxy trying to make our way home. For a grand total of 1,749 Gamerscore. Thank you, Worlds Builder.
All right. Well, that was... I don't know how to segue from that, because you guys haven't heard the stupid stuff I did before, so we'll just move on. So, reasonably big sale this week, both on the 360 and the One. First up, though, the Games with Gold, the second half of the month has gone live. So, We Were Here is live on the Xbox One. It's also brand new to the Xbox ecosystem, so brand new game. According to Bill Zuminati, you need 2.5 playthroughs. Playthrough takes about 15 minutes. So, about an hour or two if you're not following a guide, probably. With a co-op partner, it is online co-op only. I believe you are also required to have a microphone connected to play the game, to actually play the game. The game won't allow you to play without a microphone connected. You can invite people, though, because I also saw that you might not be able to set up like a private session, but seems you can.
Make it?
I don't know, because I might have to just like get a random an iPhone headset and plug it in, and then if you can't, because I did see something where it said you can't be in Xbox Live Party with the person that you're playing with, or something. Like something dumb. So you may have to use an external program, like we can just use Discord. But Matt and I will definitely be playing it before the next show, and we can talk about how fun or awful it was. I think we should probably do a playthrough without a guide first, and then
for sure.
Yeah.
Given how short it is, I don't mind replaying a little bit of it. It's not going to be a big deal.
On the 360, you have Tekken Tag Tournament 2, so if you didn't get it back at E3 2016, you can get it now. Pretty fun fighting game, and that's coming from me, who has literally negative ability at fighting games. I could probably
Tekken
complete
games
it.
have always been fun.
Yeah.
I'll second that. It's a really great game. Tekken Tag, the original on the PlayStation 2, was like the one fighting game. That was a fantastic game, and this sort of carries on that tradition.
Yeah, I do. I even remember the final boss who would tag out with her spirit and change fighting forms every tag. Oh,
Unknown, yeah.
Unknown, yeah. That was awesome. Anyway, we have a whole host of Gamerscore games this week. We have Lara Croft and the Temple of Osiris, and the Season Pass pack is 85% off, $4.34. Life is Strange, the complete season. So Life is Strange 1, the complete season, episodes 1 to 5 is 80% off, $3.99. Life is Strange Before the Storm, complete season is 80% off, $3.39. Black the Fall, 60% off, $5.99. Capcom Beat 'em Up Bundle, 40% off, $11.99. Cartoon Network Battle Crashers, 70% off, $5.99. Deployment, 75% off, $2.49. Fear Effect Sedna, 85% off, $2.99. Final Fantasy Type 0 HD, 50% off, $9.99. Forgotten Anne, 50% off, $9.99. Great walkthrough on True Achievements. Really good. Because there is a lot of obscure Gamerscore, and it's a really... You could miss so much just because of the way it's sort of directing you. Jetamera, Hero of the Universe, 75% off, $3.24. A more accurate title has never been created. Murdered, so he is the hero of the universe to him.
Absolutely. Yep. He knows exactly what he's doing.
Yep. Murdered, Sole Suspect is 85% off, $2.99. Oh My Godheads, 75% off, $3.74. Revenant Saga, 30% off, $10.49. Seasons After Fall, 75% off, $4.99. Shape of the World, 67% off, $4.94. Sherlock Holmes Crimes and Punishments, 75% off, $7.49. Sleeping Dogs Definitive Edition, 85% off, $4.49. And The Bridge is 80% off at $1.99. So there's a whole ton of stuff. There's a lot of stuff on the 360. Most of it has been repeated, but I think it's like Square Enix is having a massive sale, so all of the Final Fantasies are on sale. The other one is Rockstar having a pretty big sale, so a lot of their titles on the 360 are on sale as well. So, go check them out if you haven't, for whatever reason, bought Rockstar Table Tennis. Get it, because why not? Yep, you too can be the GOAT with a little bit of manipulation of accounts. All right, Matt, what do you think people should buy this week?
My recommendation is Mark of the Ninja Remastered for 50% off for $9.99. The original Mark of the Ninja game is fantastic, and this one is just as good. Has a couple of extra. The DLC they've added is probably some of the more challenging levels in the game, but also makes you use a lot of different mechanics. And my favorite thing about it is once you go through the DLC, you have to activate a bunch of switches. Every switch you activate basically takes away a thing that you can use to hide in or use to take down enemies. So it gets more and more challenging every time as you go through the level, just by basically screwing yourself over. Great game.
Forcing you to screw yourself over,
pretty much.
Yeah, that's good though. All right, Warren, what are people buying?
I would say go with Final Fantasy IIV. I mean, 7. It's 30% off. 11.19.
Wait, so those I's were after the V, not before the V, yeah?
So it wasn't Final Fantasy 3, it was 7?
Well, if the I's are before, you take them away, right? So then it would be 3, but if they're after...
Yeah. Oh,
yeah.
Okay, these ones are after. Gotcha.
Got it,
anyway.
Yep.
But anyways, great game from back in the PlayStation era. I'm so psyched that they remastered it and put it out again, so I totally recommend it.
All right, awesome. And I think you should buy Farm Together. Now, I haven't actually started this yet. I do own it. But I figure if I force all of you to buy it, then we can all farm together. And it's genuinely because I think it's actually a pretty fun farming game, and I'm always up for these sort of arcadey style farming games. It's essentially Farmville on your Xbox.
Oh, great! That sounds fantastic.
But like, except without clicking, you're like in a third-person perspective over, so you're actually controlling things. But that's sort of what it boils down to. It's like just like it's an arcadey farming game that your friends can jump into your farm and help out with. It's awesome.
All right.
But it's 30% off, $13.99. Just get Brad to buy it for you.
It's only a 200+ hour completion, so get onto it.
Plus some DLC. That's because it's a farming game, so I think most of those people just kind of had some moonshine and fade out.
Overnight, did you?
No, I guess people have been chickening out on the completion.
That was a corny joke.
I got nothing. Oh, jeez. Going against the grain on that one.
I have one, but I'm not going to say it. I'm not. It's bad. It's also bad, but I'm not going to say it because I'm not going to, like... I was about to say stoop down to your level.
Oh, no.
I was about to, and that wasn't even the one I was thinking of. No, I'm not using it. No.
All right. Moving on.
Don't have a cow, man.
That was episode 59, guys. Thanks for coming. All right, so knobs and discos. We do have a few notable achievements that have gone down and achievements that have been fixed. So Through the Looking Glass in Child of Light has been discontinued, and that is for sending an oculi to your friend. So Ubisoft have done something to that server that it's not going through, and it's not... Because you didn't even need to have a friend that played the game. You could just send it to them and it would go whether they played it or not. We think it's also broken on the 360, but the 360 version hasn't had an unlock on the achievement since like June 2017, just because people aren't playing. So we're looking into it, but it's also probably discontinued. Making a name for yourself achievement in FIFA 19 has been discontinued for achieving your first qualification for FIFA Ultimate Team Champions Weekend League, because they've taken the weekend leagues out. That mode is gone now, so that achievement is permanently discontinued unless they decide to bring it back, which I doubt they will do, which is a real shock because, I mean, FIFA 19 is the most recent until the new one comes out, so the fact that they're pulling modes out of that game is surprising to me, at least. We do have good news, though. 2 achievements in Tom Clancy's Splinter Cell Blacklist are back. Officer of the Day for completing a daily challenge, and 7-day duty shift for completing a Spies vs. Mercs weekly challenge. Both of those are now obtainable again. They've been fixed. It's awesome. There was much rejoice, and the world is a better place. So that's good. We have a community question from Hawkeye Barry 20, who says, when the Xbox One was announced, they said you would need constant online connection to play games. Everyone got mad and it was abandoned, the idea. Gears 5 releases without telling a soul the game requires an online connection. The weird thing is I don't feel most care as long as it works. Do you think this will be an increasing trend or just with games from Microsoft Studios? I purchased Gears 5 and not being able to play the game when it launched because of connection issues really made me feel like I did not own the game. Am I the only one that feels this way? Yes, you are.
Yeah, literally the only person who's ever felt this way about anything.
No. Yeah. No, look, I think most of our community and most of us don't really mind that an online connection is required. So I just want to clarify. So when they announced the Xbox One, it was not that it was like you had to be online. It was a check-in every 24 hours or something. You couldn't go more than
a DRM check-in, basically.
Yeah. You couldn't be offline for more than 24 hours at a time, essentially. So, yeah, those...
including games that you bought on disc.
Oh, okay, that I may have...
Yeah, it essentially was for everything that you owned, basically. So you would install the game to your console, and that you would use DRM. So you would have the idea was that you would have single-use discs, or you would have the game tied to you. You'd buy the game and the license. It would be like buying a CD key for a game on PC, basically.
Yep, and you didn't have... Yeah, and that was the whole license transfer for limited number of... because I was not interested in Xbox at launch, so I missed... I got a lot of it, but then I didn't really pay attention. So, yeah, I think I was still heavily entrenched into PlayStation at that point. I don't... I think if they had said that now, there would have been they were just too soon in their announcements.
Yes and no. I mean, so this is one of the marketing things I always get told about is what you need to do with customers. They need to perceive value. Mm-hmm. So the DRM thing, when it came out, I mean, first of all, there were issues around connectivity that people brought up. Well, I'm in an area where I don't have good broadband. I don't have unlimited, I don't have unlimited data, all that sort of stuff. Things have gotten better since 2013, most places. There are still issues for sure. But I think the main reason it wasn't considered well is because, first of all, it was a change from what was currently happening. And second of all, there was no perceived value for the customer. It just sounded like Microsoft was just trying to kill piracy and give the consumer nothing for it. They were just trying to put a stranglehold on it. Whereas nowadays, and this will tie into why I think that not many people notice about the Gears thing, is that the always online is more of an advantage for a lot of people than a disadvantage in a lot of cases, or at least it's perceived to be. So, for example, I mean, looking at because most of the games are downloadable these days, you can't play them offline. But it also means that you can sign in your profile anywhere and play those games at anywhere you want.
Yeah, and you'll have your saves in relatively instantaneously because of the cloud saves that they've got.
Exactly, yeah, now you've got cloud saves. You don't have to pay for cloud saves anymore. They're just included with the Xbox, although most people pay for games with gold anyway. But I think the other reason was that most people playing Gears of War are going to be playing it on Game Pass. And Game Pass, you have to be online to play any of the games, so people didn't even notice.
Yeah.
But here's the question: is if people perceive having the cloud save idea as a value, then why was there so much outcry over the recent Doom issue?
Well, I think there's... Yeah, go ahead, Jim.
Yeah, Doom was less about the fact that it needed to be online and more about a Bethesda Net account was required to log in and play the game. So I think there was some other game as well that they've done where you could have... It was always optional in their prior games. It's kind of like Ubisoft Club, where you could sign in with your Ubisoft Club and get things from playing the games, which you in-game, their version of the currency, and you could buy things. But this was forced upon people.
Yeah, so, the best example of that was the way they kind of did it with Evil Within 2, was that if you wanted the invincibility mode and the cheats, you had to sign up with a Bethesda Net account.
That's why I've got one of those. That's right. I was like, I have one.
Yep.
Why?
Same here.
Yeah.
I don't know. That doesn't strike me as enough of a reason to be upset about it, though. I mean, so many games have logins, or sign up for this email, or you need to have this account to play, okay, whatever, click OK, and you move through it. I mean,
Warren, you know how many people are annoyed that they have to download a free launcher for Epic Game Store, Warren? Come on, Warren. Come on. No, that's
easy. We don't have to worry about that.
I think you're right for the most part, but I think the thing is that with that Doom stuff, it was the original Doom and Doom 2, right? That was called, and Doom 3. Old games that you could play without those perfectly fine. These aren't new releases. These are re-releases of old games that you never needed this to be added into. It's when you change old stuff that people are used to that you start getting into problems. If it was the new
pulled.
Exactly.
That it's kind of...
I mean, yes.
They did and
theoretically,
yeah.
So, I mean, if we're talking about, if it was Doom Eternal and you needed to sign up with a Bethesda Net account to get all because of the online features with the weird, demons jumping into your game, people trying to mess with you sort of stuff, that's a bit more understandable. I mean, it's still not a great user experience because you shouldn't have to sign up for 1 million accounts just because a company wants all of your data rather than just all of your money. But there's still a value there, right? You're still getting something out of it. Where in this case, they're taking something away from you and forcing you to do something you didn't have to do before. which is always a harder sell.
Although I agree with you, mentally I'm still seeing it as the same thing. They're forcing an online
Yeah.
connection for a single-player experience, which is essentially what Gears was doing.
And Doom took out all. I think they took out all of the online completely, online co-op and online multiplayer. So there was less reason. Like, you know, Gears at least has the escape room and the horde and the multiplayer to kind of warrant an online connection needed. Whereas Doom was just, no, this is your offline experience that you need to be online for.
Yeah, but I do agree that it really shouldn't be necessary.
No, it shouldn't happen either way, but I feel like it. I don't know why it's not as big a deal for Gears, but it's just not. Like, True Achievements just put out an article that I sent in the Real Gamerscore Discord. Gears 5 had over 3 million players in its first week. So that's ridiculous numbers, and clearly, at least, I haven't heard much outcry about this. In general forums and stuff, especially very little in TA that I am aware of, although it's probably just
and people in TA love to complain.
Yeah, I've probably just avoided all of it.
But then again, like you say, people on TA probably played this via Game Pass, so they probably didn't even notice.
Well, I'm sure most of the people played it via Game Pass. I mean, looking at the numbers, we saw the Control versus Gears of War article that came out. Mm-hmm. I mean, looking at the numbers for Gears, it's ridiculous. Like, I can't imagine they'd actually have that many people buying a game at launch these days, especially on the TA community where we're, super miserly and don't want to spend any money.
Yeah, even more than the average spender. Like, it's...
Exactly.
Yeah, there's some combination of timing and game and the state of the internet where it's fallen into a place where it's just happened and it hasn't been a big deal. But I could understand if you are upset about this because you should be able to play your game offline. But it's so far into the norm now that people are kind of like, oh, all right, that's not a big deal. I'll just play other things if I'm not online.
Maybe they figure since they took Of War out, then the forcing of online was okay.
Yeah, makes sense. Totally different.
Of War translates roughly from Greek to English as offline, so that makes sense.
Yeah, so now it's just Gears Online. It's Gears 5.
Yeah. So it's not Gears Offline 4. It's just Gears 5. Yeah. Bloody geniuses there at the Coalition, all of them. Yeah. No, I hope. I'm trying to think what game I'd be annoyed if. I mean, I'm online, but presuming I'm online just constantly. I'm hardwired in. Assuming I wasn't. I mean, yeah, if I had to play Ori 2 and I had to have a connection, I'd be annoyed. I think I couldn't imagine Ori 2 needing an online connection, but Gears did, and it's a Microsoft game studio, so why wouldn't it be forced to have it on? Yeah.
It's the all-digital future that we're marching towards, I suppose. I mean, that's the other thing, right, is if you don't have an internet connection, you can't play most of your downloaded games anyway, unless they're on your home Xbox, which I'm sure none of us are using.
No, for the most part.
Yeah, I love when they have those live outages.
Yeah. Yep. And that leads back into your streaming stuff. When you own a game only through streaming, you don't actually really own it, do you? You own a license to stream it, which is not.
Yeah.
And the way it's probably being sold to people is not worded like that. Like, they're not probably making it clear. I'm just thinking of Stadia in the near future, selling a game and not making it clear that, no, you're not purchasing this game. You are purchasing a license to stream it. Whether they will be super explicit about that or just kind of not, and then when they have a server outage, you're kind of screwed.
Well, to be fair, some of the companies will argue that that's already the case, is that any game that they sell you online, they're selling you the license to play that game. They're not selling you ownership of that game. And that's the kind of thing that needs to be tested in court at some stage, because We have that with things like even with regular software around, things like Office. I mean, that's Office 365 is a bit different, obviously, because it's a cloud system. But looking at like the original Microsoft Office suite, they're saying, well, no, you don't own this when you buy it. We are selling you the license to use it. And it's like, well, okay, what does ownership mean in that case? But I mean, so that's going to be there's going to be some interesting thoughts around that.
I think that's why they moved that to the cloud, was because they wanted to make sure no way you can say that you own this now because it's a cloud-based system. So we've got you.
Exactly, but the way you do it is that you add a perceived benefit to the customer by doing that. In the same way they've done with Game Pass, they've said, oh well, Game Pass is always online, but you pay one online subscription fee and you get all of these games. So it makes the transition easier to the streaming future with our Microsoft overlords.
Yeah, and I know there was something done in Australia in regards to digital ownership, and essentially not quite making it a law, but essentially saying, no, there is no difference between digital ownership and owning a physical thing. Like, you are subject to all the same expectations, and you're not buying a license. You are actually purchasing the product as if you were purchasing the physical disc, and you can do with that whatever you can sell it on or break it if you want. Obviously can't really break a digital game, but that there is in essence no difference. But I look, in this short notice, I'm not going to be able to find the article or whatever it was, but yeah, it's certainly going to be something that comes up in the next couple of years as more of a forefront in these issues, is that digital ownership.
Yeah, when you can't buy discs of games anymore, I mean that's and streaming or digital purchases your only choice, and then digital purchases potentially start going away because streaming's everything. Then it's like, well, okay, then there needs to be some serious discussions around what ownership means, what are you paying for, and how that works, both within companies and across companies as well.
Yeah. So hopefully that's answered your question, Barry. Probably hasn't, because your question is probably like there, and we went woo over there. But you know what? That's okay, because Alex isn't here, and that's all that matters. And we have milestones. We have lots. We have many milestones. I won't say lots, many. R56 Cooper S11 has reached 1,500 games played. Whisperin' Clown has reached 500,000 True Achievement score. Freemho has reached a completion percentage of 50%. He's doing better than me by about 6. So good on ya. It is.
Go for him.
Yeah, he's certainly he's very eager to dive anything. So it's good to hit 50% for a diver. Keith 271179 has reached 200 completed games. Hatton 90 is now in the top 1,000 of the True Achievement leaderboard for UK baseball.
Hey, I can ask him how to play that game.
I think he got that Ashes cricket helped him out a bit on the Game Pass. I think it's like he said, it was like a 20-hour completion if you understood it, and like 30 if you didn't.
I think it sounds like more of a 200-plus completion for me, because I'd just be sitting there wondering why the commentators aren't talking about the game anymore and just talking about the weather.
Yeah. So, my girlfriend's watching a video in the background. She's very embarrassed. She didn't realize there was sound. Or, I don't know what was going through her head. I'm probably going to leave that in just to embarrass you more. Don't worry, baby. I got this. Whispering Clown not only reached 500,000 True Achievement score, but he also reached 350,000 Gamer score. Kronos is in the top 1,000 of the True Achievement leaderboard for strategy, and Marky Boy 89 has reached 300,000 Gamer score. Don't laugh at that. That's
how it sounds. No, that's all right. You've got the pronunciation right. Good job.
That's how you say it. Yeah. Now that we've rounded up the milestones, that's the rounding up of the show. So if you would like to contact the podcast for any reason, you can contact all of us real people at hello@realgamerscore.com, or you can contact Cameron at realgamerscore on Twitter. Notice how he wasn't part of the real people conversation. As with the top of the show, discord.io/realgamerscore to find all of your up-to-date notices and going-ons. We played another round of Secret Hitler on the weekend in a more UK-friendly time zone and still did not get anyone except us Australians and New Zealanders. So we had a morning session instead. That was pretty much all that happened.
I love the smell of Secret Hitler in the morning.
Oh, and I love being Hitler in the morning, because that was like, there were like 8 rounds out of 10 was just, yeah, it was ridiculous.
It was perfect.
Because I didn't get it once last time. I'm like, oh, I really want to be like a fascist. So I was Hitler every single time.
Chin, I mean it when I say that you were born to be a Nazi.
Don't know that I can have that in there. We'll find out. Patreon, if you are encouraged by that to donate to us monetarily, patreon.com/realgamerscore. Tell us why you've been convinced, because let's be honest, I don't know after that. Write in questions to the show, we'll answer them. Hawkeye Barry has been doing it a lot. We love his work. If you're interested in being on the show, contact Professor Pluto on True Achievements or Discord, and he'll get you set up, or you know, whatever weird hazing he does to see whether you're going to be on the show. I don't know. Other ways to help out the podcast, you can subscribe on whatever you're listening to, whether that's iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Podbeans, anything else. Leave a review. Tell your friends. Word of mouth is crazy good. Put it in your True Achievement status. So put it there, or your signature as well. That helps out a lot, because your signature pops up in places you don't even really think about, and people will see that. We've gotten listeners have written into the show and gone, oh, you know, this is how I found out about it. So that's surprisingly helpful. Retweeting Cameron on Twitter, because he is our Real Gamerscore Twitter man, and he has done more posts than I have ever done on that channel, outside of the automated ones. So he's doing a good job. Subscribe to us on YouTube. We definitely upload content whenever we feel like. Whenever Alex gets his crap together, and definitely isn't waiting on video footage from me. Matt, when you don't want people to contact you, where won't they contact you?
Yeah, as always, don't ever speak to me. I loathe every single one of you, and you're basically the worst people I've ever had to speak to. But if you do want to
this is someone's first podcast they listen to, and they don't get it, but sorry.
So if you do have to get in contact with me, I suppose you can find me on True Achievements at Neomaster, or I'm on the Discord as always. If you need to send some complaints in, I will redirect them to Mr. Shadowless Edge, because I'm sure they're meant to be for him instead.
Yeah.
The Discord.
Warren, how can people contact you?
Ideally, I would recommend Singing Telegram, but if you'd like, you can also reach out to me on the Discords, or on True Achievements, or on Xbox Live. I'm planting 42 everywhere, and if you really need my address for the Telegram, let me know.
Did either of you watch? It's old. It's like a 2-part movie, Dinotopia. It's got the guy from Prison Break. I think it's the guy from Prison Break.
It might be the one movie I haven't seen.
Dinotopia. Movie. Maybe it was a TV series. No, definitely not. Oh, now it's not going to tell me anything. Damn you, IMDb. Because there's the dinosaurs kind of, some of them talk and some of them don't, but there's a bird that talks, and you saying Singing Telegram made me think of it. Who is it? It's in it. Wentworth Miller.
Oh yes, okay, the miniseries. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Oh, it was 3 episodes. I only saw 2 of them. What? That felt like that was a conclusion. Maybe
Maybe
did
you
see
saw
all 3.
2 and 3.
Maybe. I have no idea. One of them used Bohemian Rhapsody as a quiz, in a quiz or something, a test. And they're like, oh my god, this is so profound. You're amazing. You are our god now. Like, it was... Yeah.
To be fair, many people have said that about Freddie Mercury, so...
Yeah.
Makes sense.
On to the actual point of the podcast. If you would like to... Well, not dispute... The whole point of the podcast is how to contact me. All of the show before is... No. The actual bits that we're supposed to talk
vanity
about.
project.
The bits we're supposed to talk about, and not Dinotopia, the mini-series that I watched on TV one time. If you want to contact me, I am on trueachievements.com, Discord, Twitter, Xbox Live. You can find me playing Rocket League, all under ChinDocta. That's ChinDocta. If I'm not on Rocket League, I am probably going to be playing this week. Pick a random game. Nickelodeon Dance.
Good choice.
So,
Looking forward to the stream.
yeah, that'll be... No. No one needs to see this uncoordinated mess.
I'd rather see a stream of
dancing.
you playing DDR.
I'd have to IRL stream that, because I would not be able to... Not be able to do that on no, not in this room. It's way too small. Yeah. Okay. That was episode 59. If you really enjoyed it, let Alex know, because we may just have new Alex. So
Alex
we don't
2.0.
know. Alex 2.0. So yeah, okay. Yeah, thanks for listening, guys. We will be back next week, and you can hear our lovely sultry voices at the same podcast channel that you listen to all the time. Bye.
See ya.
Peace.